What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Flying solo this evening, back to talk a little Packers as the Green Bay Packers got back on the practice field earlier today. So we're going to go through all the notes from practice. Got a few players that were back from injury and things looking up from a health standpoint for the Packers. It sounds like all 53 players were participating in some manner today as far as the active 53-man roster goes. So we're going to dive into all that. Want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Ron Sample, we got Greg in the house, United Bates, Michael Redden, Mr. Goat, and looks like Mountain Man Pack. Some others filing in here. Good to see everybody. Hope y'all had an awesome Sunday afternoon. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors tonight. And that's the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since 92, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Just click on the link in the video description. That'll send you to theticketking.com where you can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. We appreciate them supporting the show. Surprise, surprise, my man Jacob in the house. How you doing, bub?
What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing?
We're doing great, man. Just got started, getting cranked up here on a Sunday evening. Got a lot of Packers news to talk about. Really excited about what we got lined up tonight, man. How was your weekend? Everything good?
Oh, it was a lot, man. Birthday was Friday, and then Labor Day, and it was a lot. Today, I basically tried to just take it easy, and then I called you, Clayton. I called you this afternoon, and you did not answer. And I called to ask, should I buy this NCAA game? Do you think I'm going to like it?
Oh,
I'm going to spend $70 on it. And I'm not going to lie to you, Clayton. I don't know if I don't like it or if I just suck.
You suck. You suck.
Well, I know I suck. I haven't played NCAA football for obviously years since it was last out, but I'm not good at video games, man. And there's too much going on. They got new game modes and tokens and freaking XP.
Yeah. You got to ignore all that. What you got to do is jump into Play Now, all right, and just get used to everything. Play a couple games, and then jump right into Dynasty mode. And you're in
Dynasty mode.
You're going to be lost on recruiting. Got any questions? Shoot them on our text thread. Emilio will help you with it. He's rebuilding a couple of scrub teams right now, I'm sure. So his alma mater, Buffalo. Shout out to the scrubs at Buffalo. But anyway, yeah, it's a cool game, man. And I'll tell you, it's popular. It's driven more conversation in sports talk in the last, whatever month, 2 months it's been out now than any game I've ever heard of. It's hilarious watching people react. Have you watched Boston Connor's YouTube channel lately? Have you seen that?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so Boston Connor, you know who he is. He's on the Pat McAfee show, right? He's one of the two toxic table members there. He literally named it Pretty Much Sports is the name of his YouTube channel. And it's just him being a head coach on that college football game, dude. It is hilarious. He's already won like a couple national titles. He's probably playing on the easiest level. It is hilarious. So you get a chance, check it out. But
yeah.
I'm
pretty sure I can't even remember which team I was. It was like one of the really bad teams in Florida, 1 star. So I'm bringing that freaking franchise back, baby.
There you go, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, for me, it's I jumped in with Notre Dame for a bit, and I jumped back over to Kentucky and just trying both teams out. I play on Heisman, so I'm a geek, like I'm a nerd. It's got to be realistic, It's got to be so realistic that I'm pissed off after every game, even if I won. I'm just like so frustrated. So
you play on Heisman?
Yeah, I play on Heisman low. Yeah, same thing with Madden. I play on all Madden. I'm mad, but people don't know this, but I went to a couple Madden tourneys for the Madden Championship and stuff, and made it. The tournament in Atlanta, I made it to the Final Four, the one in Atlanta. And
look at that.
Just a nerd in that regard. But anyway, let's jump into some Packers talk. And first of all, let's hop into some NFL talk too. I know everybody's in the chat already lighting it up. Appreciate you marking those, Jacob. And first things first, I thought this was cool to dive into, man. To look at the NFL as a whole here. Week 1 schedule for the NFL. Obviously, Thursday night, we're getting kicked off with Ravens Chiefs. That's going to be a dandy. I mean, two MVPs going at it. Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs got a great defense. Baltimore's always got a great defense. How will they do without Mike McDonald? That's going to be the big question. Will they just pick up where they left off, or will it be, they begin to struggle? Then obviously on Friday night's the most important game of the week, Packers and Eagles, and it sounds like they are flying on out to on Wednesday, I think it is, Jacob. So they are traveling down. That's happening. That's a full go. I know many people were talking about rumors with the wildfires and other things going on that they may not go, but they're definitely going to Brazil. But some of these other games I want to look at, man. The Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears games got me kind of hyped. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. That's the one I'll be tuned in at 1 o'clock because obviously the Bears, we want to see how they're going to do now that we're in regular season play and see how Caleb Williams looks. And another thing, too, we're going to be playing the Titans here early in the season. What is it, week 3, I think, if I remember correctly? That's the game that me and Emilio will be in the house for. So I'm eager to see a little bit of scouting on the Titans and also how the Bears going to look there. So that's the game that catches my attention in the 1 o'clock hour. And then, of course, you got your second favorite team, Jacob, the Minnesota Vikings at the New York Giants at 1 o'clock. You'll be rooting against them for that game. I'm sure you'll have that in your market, right?
Oh, yeah, always in my market. So I'll definitely be watching that. There's a chance, I think, possibly. Oh, no, there won't be. But I have ways of watching certain things if I'd like to. I pay for it. No, I don't. I would honestly say, do you think that it's fair to say that this is the way that they've scripted it? And again, kind of pepper bombed it for a Thursday, a Friday, and then obviously your opening Sunday. This is like the most exciting opening weekend. And they're doing a real good job of stretching it. I swear, if there was a way to make 7 days of NFL football work, I would do it. But
I'd be all about it, man.
I don't know logistically how you would make it work. It probably could work if you extended the season and gave guys more time off. Yeah. You know what I mean? In between games, you could highlight 1 or 2 games a night. Oh, yeah. Don't get me excited. I would just
dude. To each their own. But I'm really surprised at how many people are against that. They're like, I don't want football on every night of the week. I'm going to give it to me every single night. Let's go. Are you kidding me?
I wish we could flip that.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, no, let's don't do that. Okay? As soon as it came out of my mouth, that's what she said.
707, Emilio. You can find that.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the games that kind of catch my attention. Jaguars Dolphins might be pretty good. We'll see how the Jaguars look. Then you get into the 4 o'clock hour. You get Raiders Chargers. Obviously, that's going to be Jim Harbaugh's debut there with the Chargers as new head coach again, going up against the Raiders. You got the Broncos, Seahawks. You got the Cowboys and the Browns. Will the Browns be good? Is Deshaun Watson finally healthy, right? We'll see how that goes. Cowboys, man, everybody in Dallas has got a lot of pressure on them, especially Mike McCarthy, I should say. And then, of course, you got Washington and Tampa Bay there, one of the late 4:25 Eastern kickoffs. Too. For the Sunday Night Football game of the week, you've got the L.A. Rams at the Detroit Lions. We will all be tuned into that, obviously, to root against the Detroit Lions. I'd love to see them come out and just fall flat on their face week 1. That would be absolutely awesome. And then, of course, Monday Night Football, man, Aaron Rodgers going into San Francisco. I love these type of games with Aaron where you can actually root for Aaron and, especially against someone like San Francisco. But it's going to be fun to see if he's back to full form or if he's starting to taper off in his age. But anything else you want to add there to that schedule? Anything catch your attention?
I think Sunday night game could be a really sneaky, really indicator of like where the Rams at. Are the Lions about to continue them being an ascending team for once in the last 30 years, or are they going to fall off back into obscurity? Another one I'd probably be I'm interested in that Cardinals-Bills for the same reason. Like, are the Bills going to take a massive step back because they've seemingly lost some weapons and have kind of regressed a bit? And does like a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. make any difference on a Cardinal team? You know, do they come out with like a crazy exploding offense sort of thing? So I think there's a lot of really great, what's the worst game that you just don't care about? Because I'm trying to figure that out right now. It'd probably be Broncos Seattle for me. I just don't care.
Anything in a dome, I'd rather throw up on my shoes than watch, man. So the Panthers and the Saints doesn't really pique my interest at all. Now the Texans and the Colts, that's interesting because it's C.J. Stroud against the Colts. That's most likely Anthony Richardson, to the best of my knowledge. He'll be starting that game, so that'll be a lot of fun to watch there. That's really the only one. The big stinker there on the list for me is Panthers Saints. I could care less. So Let's go to the chat real quick. We've got a bunch of people in here hanging out. Love this. CJN says, doing double duty, watching PTA and drafting in the PTA Fantasy League. Let's go. So the goal is, if I don't forget here, is Carly Ray is going to send over a screen grab of the first round results from our PTA fantasy football draft tonight, which is going to be awesome. We were going to try to get it on the screen in real time and just check in from time to time, but we'll try to get some updates in that regard. So good luck tonight, CJN. Hope you knock it out of the park, buddy. Jay in the chat says, Jacob needs to create a future Green Bay for a D3 school. Human meat missile there.
There you go. I was going to say, don't tell me you forgot what that means.
I love it, man. That's taking on a lot. So we got to put that on some merch for sure. And we'll just do HMM, and everybody will know what it means, right?
Just hashtag
when you're at the bar and
HMM.
when you're at the bar and somebody says, hey, what's HMM mean? You go, sit down. Let me tell you. So, Jay in the chat said, create a Christian Welch and have him make the Green Bay 53. Too early? Man, I'll tell you this. I cranked up my franchise earlier today, and he was on my roster. I kept him. And I was like, man, started playing some sad music in the background. Christian Welch, the one that got away. It's funny, man. Every preseason, every training camp, Jacob, there's a player that Packer fans they absolutely adore, and it never fails. They get cut. You know, like you think of back in the day. You remember Jeff Janis? Jeff Janis was an absolute legend.
I was going to say, yeah, or Touchdown Jesus.
Who was it?
Jake Kumaro, baby.
That's right, yeah.
Come on
Hey,
now.
wasn't he one of the Bosa's cousins? Am I thinking right?
That is, I believe, true. And I think he's actually still on the Bills roster the last time I saw. So,
God, it feels like a lifetime ago. It was really 2 years ago, though.
it was, yeah, pretty close.
Absolutely awesome. All right, Ron Samble in the chat said Tucker is more intense in a locker room interview than most guys are on the field. We got a soundbite from that, Ron. We're going to hit on, man. I'm excited for y'all to hear it. Tucker Kraft's a man on a mission. There's no doubt about that. Jay says, when is Tom Brady broadcasting? I believe, if I remember correctly, it's the Cowboys-Browns game, but I could be wrong. Typically, it's a 4 o'clock game on Fox, which gets the A team. So I think that will be Tom Brady's debut there. If anybody else knows in the chat, post it in there, and we'll get Jacob to mark it as we go along here. But, yeah, so another comment here in the chat. Ron Sample says, okay, all you Western Wisconsin cheeseheads, who knows Braden Narvison's in-laws? ? And this is why he's asking this. Did you see the interview, Jacob?
No, but I heard. Well, I didn't see it, but I heard remnants that the guy basically, yeah. So he grew up like 10 minutes away from me. All right, yeah. Let's do it.
Here's what he had to say. It's just a 30-second clip from Matt
his wife.
Schneidman.
The wife did. Okay.
Yeah, this was from Matt Schneidman on Twitter. Here's what he had to say.
It's a dream. It's a dream. I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm going to do everything in my power to get 1% better day after day after day. And at the end of the day, I'm going to go out there and try to make kicks, and that's my job. That's what I get paid to do, and so that's what I'm going to do.
Does it come with pressure?
Yeah, everything does. And if somebody tells you they're not nervous, there's no pressure. They're lying to you, or they don't care. In my opinion, I think there's always pressure. Pressure is a privilege, in my opinion. Pressure means that you've done the right things at the right time to show everybody how hard you've worked. That's how I feel about it.
So I thought it would be in the soundbite. Evidently it wasn't. But here's what Matt Schneidman tweeted out. New Packers kicker Braden Narvison on this opportunity, quote, it's a dream. Narvison added, my wife grew up here in Prescott, Wisconsin. They're all Packer fans, so it's really, really surreal. They were super excited. So this dude's got all the reasons in the world, every reason in the world to come in and try to do well. And I think it's awesome that immediately Jair Alexander got his back. You know, he put that soundbite out there and hey, he went to LaFleur like, I really like this dude. There was someone else that walked behind him while he was kicking or something. Oh, no, it was while I was at his locker, I believe. You see our friend Paul Brettel back there in the background, too.
Hey, look at Paul.
Nice. Got prime positioning back there. But somebody walked by his locker and was, like, bragging on him, too, shouting while they were interviewing him. So I love that the team's getting behind him because, man, it's a real thing, isn't it, Jacob? Like, the main thing with kicking is it's pressure, it's mental toughness.
I was going to say.
Just being able to be consistent with that swing, right?
Yeah, definitely the loneliest position, I think, in maybe of all of NFL sports, just because you have individual sports like boxing or, anything that's one-on-one, you know what you're getting into, but it's where you have, and it's on you if you lose. But if you go out there and you lose for 52 other men and a whole team and a whole city and a training staff and coaching staff, like he said, and I really respect his honesty because I think that I've watched a lot of kickers give I won't compare it to anybody that lately is bad at doing interviews, but maybe somebody that uses a lot of like hyperbolic stuff and doesn't get into stuff, or maybe pushes out a ego or a confidence that you can tell they just don't really have. He was really upfront. He's like, yeah, dude, like you're going to get nervous. It's the NFL, you're kicking games on the line at most or a lot of points. And I just think that he showed himself to be the type of player. I always go back to this. You guys know if he had a good person rating, he seems like he knocks it out of the park. And I bet you the interview between him and Anders and maybe two other kickers completely cemented the deal, because when you talk to that kid, that's a Packer.
Yeah,
that's just 100% a Packer. And yeah,
he seems humble. He really does, man. I'm excited to see him kick. How cool would it be if it came down to a game-winning field goal and he nails it down there in Brazil?
Oh,
that's that's the way to get your career started, right? Now I hope we boat race him by 20. Don't get me wrong, but we do have a poll question up here on YouTube tonight, and what I had asked the listeners was, which Packers player are you most excited to see make their debut with the team? The choices were Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Morgan, and Javon Bullard. Right now, as the poll sits, Josh Jacobs leads the way at 53%. Xavier McKinney is in second at 39%. Javon Bullard third at 8%. And Jordan Morgan has not got a vote yet. So somebody hop in there and give Jordan Morgan a vote, please. Okay. I know it's silly to put an offensive lineman out there, but I got to be real, man. If he plays, I think I'm most excited about watching him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he'd probably be last on my list just because – I hope that they don't just force him out there. At this point, I don't want to lose a game because, and if you guys don't forget, if I'm not mistaken, the interior defensive line, the whole defensive line for Philly is pretty darn good. So I would hate that we lose a game because of a right guard versus like just, whatever situation you can talk about. Aaron Rodgers, thanks for showing up again. He says, I voted Jacobs in the poll because I feel like he hears the comments on how the Packers made a mistake letting Jones go. I'm expecting a big game from Jacobs. So you think he has a chip on his shoulder. And imagine taking over for a guy that's absolutely beloved, that got basically kicked out of town with the fan base not really being excited about it. Jacobs does have a massive shoes to fill, both in the community and on the field. And I think that he's taken it really well, because I think I saw a report out there that the dude was basically offered multi-millions more to go to like New York or some other markets. But he said, no, one of it was because of taxes. And the other one was basically like, I want to go to a team where I'm going to help him, or I believe we can win kind of thing. Or he just seems, again, like a Packer. He seems like some of these guys we don't draft, but for whatever reason, they fluctuate and sort of gravitate at some point to the Green Bay Packers organization. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I really do. All right, let's do this. Let's get into some practice talk here, man. So Rob Demovsky had tweeted out, and I'll just kind of let this loop for a second. Just a video here from practice. It says, running back Marshawn Lloyd hamstring has returned to practice. All 53 players on the roster were on the grass as game week commenced. The Packers will practice here today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, then fly to Brazil on Wednesday. So obviously they're heading out on Wednesday over to Brazil, and we should have practice updates, like he said, tomorrow and Tuesday. So it's going to be a busy couple of days as they get their work in, and we bring you all of the details, all of the information there. Jacob, it's absolutely awesome that all 53 players, right, were on the practice field today, man. That's got to make you feel a lot better about this week one matchup against Philly.
Yeah, it does, definitely. And we all kind of hemmed and hawed over the preseason about they should be starting these many snaps or that many reps or this many quarters. And I think that's fair discussion to absolutely have at that point. But I don't know if I remember an offseason in recent history where we had 53 out of 53 ready to go, to the point where it's and I think that's a massive feather in our cap, say, to be doing something a little bit adversarial in week one, doing a 10-hour plane ride, going to a different country, going to a arguably, depending on who you ask, kind of situation over there for a number of reasons. And yeah, I just it's good to know that we're going in with a full force. The Army is intact, and I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, definitely. And Matt Schneidman had tweeted this out. Jordan Love to Josh Jacobs, could be seeing a lot of that this season. I love that they kind of kept Josh Jacobs' legs fresh, through preseason. I'm excited to watch this guy run. He's going to have something to prove. There's no doubt about that. Really, really excited to see how they deploy him. Is he just going to are they going to do more of that that 11 personnel empty look where they flex him out at the T. I think they will. I think they'll pick right up where they left off, where Jones did that. And I think, honestly, he's got a chance to be more effective than Aaron Jones definitely last year in the passing game. If you guys and gals would take a quick second, we got a bunch of people following in here. Just take a second, hit that like button for us. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you like Packers content, feel free to sub to the channel. We will be live all year long, multiple shows a day. In most cases, we'll be doing pregame shows, postgame shows, chalk talks, the whole 9 yards. We appreciate y'all swinging through. So one thing that got tweeted out here too, Paul Brettel had kind of reinforced there, all 53 players on the roster practicing today, including Marshawn Lloyd and Andre Dillard. You know, Andre Dillard, we've kind of stopped talking about it a little bit, Jacob, but I think he's your backup left tackle. It's nice to know that shoulder is healthy and he's good to go. If for some reason Rasheed Walker breaks a chin strap or something, he's come out for a few snaps, you know?
Yeah. You know, I'm a very humble, obviously you guys know I'm a very, I don't have an ego. I don't ever brag. You know, I'm probably the most humble guy you've ever met in your life. But I will say, I questioned Andre Dillard and I put a lot of smoke on him. I did. And I'll admit that I was wrong, that I think that he will be at least a sufficeable backup left tackle. And to the point where I don't want to put any money on that necessarily, but I've been proved wrong just by what he's done in practice and going against, decent reps here and there and actually showing what he can do. I was worried about what he had, kind of like a shoulder stinger. Wasn't that kind of the designation for a while or something like that? So I don't know if that's going to affect him in any way. Hopefully we don't even have to worry about seeing the guy, like you said, unless there's, and you know what, hopefully it's garbage time. We're winning by like 45 in the fourth quarter and we get to see Dillard just, go out there and make the Philly D-line look like crap, which I know is not going to be great. Ron commented on that earlier when we were talking. He said Philly's D-line is definitely their strength. So, I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah. If we have time, we may jump into a little bit of that and look at the lineup and everything and take a look. If not, we'll carry it into tomorrow. Do you got an hour 20 in you tonight, Jacob, or no? That's a no. That's okay. It's a no because I've already done a show earlier today. I'm cool with just a normal show. We'll just roll with that. So here's a cool video from Ryan Wood on Twitter. Rookie Marshawn Lloyd strapped in pass for the first time since injuring his hamstring in the preseason opener at Cleveland. My man looks like he's got good bursts. He looks completely healthy, Jacob. I think we're ready to go, man. I'm excited to see what he does in this game. It's going to be an awesome opportunity. Obviously, you hate to see anybody go out with an injury, like A.J. Dillon did. He's out for the year. But this is Marshawn Lloyd's chance to kind of capitalize on that. I'm eager to see if he gets as many or more carries than Emmanuel Wilson, too.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at him right now, it feels like his top half is way better built than the lower. And you're going to clip that too.
What are you trying to say, Jake?
I'm just saying I want him to have a little bit bigger legs. And take it from me. This is from somebody that's got
those thick legs.
I got little toothpick legs myself. I was mostly an upper body guy myself. But I don't know. He has, from the clips and stuff that I watched, he's obviously got deceptive speed. But I saw at times deceptive power, but I dare not compare him to like an Aaron Jones, because that guy to this day, he was so great at being elusive and just randomly flowing and slipping through holes that you never thought he'd get through. But he was also he wasn't a scat back. He wasn't just an elusive back. He would lay the wood on you. If he had to hit a hole and get you 2 yards, he was not shying away from contact. So I hope that Lloyd is that similar type of back, where even though he's a little more flashy, a little more quick on his feet, elusive, that he still knows when to lower the shoulder and lay the boom.
Mm-hmm. United Bates in the chat said, early scouting report out of Philly, talk radio and fans. They don't think our D is that good, especially against the run. I can't disagree with that. And I think it was somebody else said in the chat here, until we prove otherwise, right? Is it, I always want to say weed. Is that right?
That's weed.
That's weed. Not that kind of weed, you knuckleheads. Get your head out of the gutter. But Packers defense is bad against the run until they show otherwise, but I hope they actually do that. Again, I've watched football for a long time, and the strength of a 34 defense is supposed to be more effective against the run. That's not me talking. That's people like Mark Tauscher, Brian Bulaga talking. It's harder to run block against the 34 front. We switch to a 4-3. All signs point to the run defense will probably get a little worse than it was last year. Now, I was pretty vocal in the offseason when we went back through and watched the tape and everything. The run defense got a little bit better this year than the previous year. So maybe we go back to that 2023 form, or I'm sorry, 2022 form. Could be the case. The thing that struggled last year, we took a dip in, was actually EPA on pass coverage. So it took a little bit of a dip. I think that's going to improve tremendously. But the key is going to be controlling the explosive plays. And that's one of the negatives of a 43 front and playing that one gap approach out of those base defense snaps. So we'll see. My big thing is, first things first, win the turnover battle. What Matt LaFleur talks about, win the ball, right? Win the turnover differential. Make sure you're positive in that regard. It gives you a good chance of winning. Control the middle late. I know you guys have heard this 1,000 times from me. And then the other thing would be control the explosive plays. Those three aspects are the most important aspects to winning ball games. It doesn't mean if you win all three, it's a guarantee to win the game. But if you win all three of those, Jacob, you're in the upper 90 percentile of chances of winning the ball game. So got to protect the football. If Jordan comes out, protects the football like he did last year. Here's the thing. You go out, you get out, you want to control their running game, get out to an early lead. That's how you do it, right? Start to take them out of running situations by building an early lead, go up by 7, go up by 10 points, and force them to pass the football. I would much rather Jalen Hurts try to beat me through the air than he and Saquon Barkley beating me on the ground, if that makes sense.
That actually goes into Jay's comment. Just maybe reiterate on that. It says, Jay says, I think I'm more worried about Jalen Hurts' scrambling ability and losing us gap integrity / bad pursuit angles, which is, if you've watched any Packer games for your career, for your life, that always seems to be in the big games. We go against a scrambling or even a decent running quarterback that could just waddle up through the edge rushers that over pursue, or maybe they drop a coverage or whatever the case is. It just seems that we have been cursed since the days of Mike Vick and what's his freaking face, Mr. Nealer.
What's his freaking face, he said.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. And you can't be great at everything, man. You know, when you game plan against a team, whether it's on offense or defense, you're taking one thing away, but most of the time you're giving something else up, right? And it's a perfect example. Yeah, Danny DeVito from last year.
I just picture Danny actually like the human bowling ball being like, all right.
Yeah, and that's exactly, if you go back and watch that game and then you watch the rest of the season, you could tell that our defense made an adjustment. Like, we got to stop being aggressive rushing upfield on the outside, because he did, man. It's so obvious that the Giants and Brian Daboll, seen on previous tape, they probably went and watched our 4-game saturation, and they said, you know what? When you drop back to pass, if they get aggressive on that edge out of those wide 9 looks, just step up in the pocket and take off, because they're going to be playing match on the backside, which is essentially man coverage if you show vert. So all you got to do, give a 3 vert look with an underneath option, maybe a little chip and a leak underneath, and those 3 verts, let them walk that match coverage out. If you key in on that edge being too aggressive on the outside, and it was both Gary and Preston Smith, step up in the pocket and take off, and that's how they burned us. It was. Now, don't get me wrong, he was making people like Savage and Keyshawn Nixon, he was literally making them miss tackles, which was just so damn embarrassing. But again, that's what comes back to what we always talk about, how the Packers scout. They're looking for elite athletes, not necessarily good tacklers. I know it's not that simple, that cut and dry, but it does come into factor for sure.
I think we see the Packers' first pick of the 2025 season. The Packers will be selecting Danny DeVito with nose tackle.
Oh, God. You talk about
out of Philly.
Low center of gravity right there, Jacob. My gosh.
That's what we'd say. He's got good pad level.
Yeah. Getting the
Plus, if he greases himself up.
Yeah. If he gets in the 3-point stance, his belly button's dragging the turf. There ain't no doubt about that. That belly button's just so funny to say. Let's see. Wes Hawkins did say LaFleur on Marshawn Lloyd, quote, "Will give him the week as he progresses. Certainly will be smart with him. He was limited today." So there is a chance that he's got kind of a light workload on him down there in Brazil. And we'll move on now. But it just makes me feel really good knowing we got Emmanuel Wilson. I think he'll do just fine. I really do. And that defensive front is solid. There's no doubt about it. So right here, Tom Silverstein tweeted out, new Packers quarterback Malik Willis gets some reps in. So obviously he's out there practicing, getting more acclimated to the offense, all that good stuff. Tom Silverstein also tweeted out, LaFleur said that Malik Willis took some of the scout team reps today. He split them with Sean Clifford. How they practice will determine which one will be the backup on Friday night. So they're still undecided. They're going to use these today's practice in the next 2 days of practice to determine, is Malik ready to be the backup or do we roll with Sean Clifford? How do you feel about it, Jake? If you had to choose right now, I mean, obviously if Malik Willis had a good grab of the offense, I think you would go with Willis and so would I. But who do you think they'll go with as of right now, man? That's a very short amount of time for Malik Willis to learn this offense, right?
Yeah, that's an extremely short amount of time for him to just – it's a really short amount of time. I don't think that within – what has he had? A quarter of a practice for reps, like 3 days?
Right.
I don't feel like that. I don't know. Unless his natural ability, which I can believe because I've seen what he can do, you know what I mean? And if it's just maybe a cookie cutter or a very vanilla type offense that we implement, and you have to imagine that LaFleur and the front office and the coaching staff, they're not just going to be like, well, we're going to keep the same playbook if Love goes down and we're just going to throw Malik in and it's just going to work. So they're obviously probably have some sort of contingency plan where they say, okay, if God forbid Love does go down, this is the playbook that Malik, we need you to show us that you have mastered. Maybe it's 20 plays, 25 plays, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So something where it's just like, if we have to break glass in case of emergency, that we at least know that you can handle it mentally. I think the physical part isn't a question. But I do think that, what's the point of having Clifford, keeping him, retaining him, drafting him, if you're not going to actually use him in these situations? So it could go either way for me.
Yeah, no, I understand, man. I understand completely. So we'll see how that shakes out. We'll keep our eye on the practice reports. Maybe Matt LaFleur will tip his hand a time or two as well. But since we're talking quarterback here, let me make sure I didn't miss any other grabs here. We'll get to that here in a second. We'll actually wrap up the show with it. We got a couple questions from the Patreon listeners. So, all right, let's go rapid fire. Here's Jordan Love in the locker room earlier today. And, so he was just basically asked about the responsibilities of the backup quarterback, right? And kind of what goes into doing that. You guys know I've been pretty vocal. I got roasted for it a couple times too. Yeah, you'll hear me say that from time. I get roasted all the time, man. Most people who do a Packers podcast, they kind of hide on Twitter. They don't respond to people. They don't engage. I engage.
We do.
Yeah. I engage with people who aren't rude. Like if you want to have a disagreement or a conversation, man, I'm all about it. But if you just come at me and tell me I'm stupid, all right, man, that's cool. We'll pretend like you don't exist, hit block, and fire you off into the sunset. All right. That's the way that works. But one of the things I've talked about is how the backup quarterback kind of acts as a personal assistant to the starting quarterback, right? And some people hear that and they're like, what do you mean? Is he tying their cleats? Is he getting them water? What are you talking about? No, I'm talking about preparation. Jordan Love and the starting quarterback's only one person, right? So they can only watch so much tape. They can only watch, take so many notes and all that. Aaron Rodgers did this for Brett Favre too, even though they didn't have the best of a working friendship. And I do air quotes for friendship early on in his career. But he would take Brett his notes at the, before game day and say, here's what I picked up on their defense. So that's something that goes on. But here's how Jordan Love kind of answered that question when he was asked about the backup quarterbacks and their role on a team.
What does it be like today or game day?
For them, you're saying?
Yes. What are your
Oh, no, I mean, the backup role, and you do so many things during the week. You make DB reports, you fill out the depth chart in the room, things like that. And, and then at the same time, you're trying to get yourself ready to play as well. So, learn everything that's going in this week, game plan wise, and then helping out, doing whatever you got to do to get some more tips on the defense, any tells you can find, things like that.
Jacob, that'd be a pretty darn cool job, man, to be the backup quarterback and be able to your sole job is watching tape and helping provide information for the starter. Dude, I can't throw a football. I can actually throw a football pretty decent, but nowhere near well enough to play at any level of football. But man, you talk about taking a role to heart, dude. That would be absolutely awesome, getting in there and being a head scout for your starting QB. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, that's the only problem is that you need to have the physical ability if you did get called in. So whereas I'd be real good with all the other stuff, I think, once it came down to throwing a ball, this torn rotator cuff ain't going past 10 yards, guys. Sorry. But I just think it's cool to see his progression. And I believe that they premised that with asking, Love looks like he's
on the
right there. He's on
that
Emilio sauce.
He got a hold of a gummy or something. I don't know what's going on over there.
No, but really though, he does seem like he's understood the progression. And to be honest, that's crazy because we always see. Now that you bring that up, Clayton, the quarterbacks go with the quarterbacks in the off when they're not in the middle of a drive or when they throw a pick or even when they throw a touchdown. You see them all three or whatever, how many. It's usually about 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and one of them's digging through a book. If it's Rodgers or one of the other play quarterbacks, they're probably just staring off like they're either mad or they're happy as heck,
Right.
just sitting there kind of giving daps, dapping people up. But it's the other 2 guys you see there. One's got a headset on, one's on the phone, one's blowing through freaking, highlights and stuff. And it was just interesting because I never actually did think about that is probably a massive part of it. And people wonder why would you actually draft Sean Clifford in the 5th round if you don't actually need him, plan on him starting? Well, because of the fact that he played like 5 years there and had most snaps, most passing, most all this. So he knows how to play the quarterback role to a point of almost maybe better than your just athletic, kind of unmolded quarterback. It made all the sense in the world now that we think about it. And look where he is. I would almost bet, I'd guess 70-30, if not 80-20, that Clifford's going to be the guy, specifically because of the things he's going to see in the depth or in any of those schematics, any of the off-field adjustments, any of the pre-scouting stuff. He's going to be looking for that. And he's going to be there, and he's been there for a year plus now. So I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so here's Gummy Jordan. This was another clip from that interview in the locker room where he was asked about the difficulties he would face in week 1 of the regular season and having to prepare for a new defensive coordinator.
Do you not really know what they're going to throw at you, no matter how much film you study or whatever, just what's the challenge?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Week 1 is always is, and then you add on top of that new defense coordinator. So, we're watching a lot of film from where they came from, the Dolphins, and a lot of different stuff where, you got to remember, we're not playing some of the DBs that we might be watching on film, some of the guys and the Dolphins, things like that. So it's definitely tough. And then you add that part where you just don't know what they're going to do this year, if they might be, doing some new things defensively that we haven't seen in the past. So a lot of unknowns. So, you kind of just got to trust the rules of the game plan and kind of go out there, take that opening drive to get a feel. Like, we don't even know who might be out there, DB wise, front 7. So just taking that opening drive to get a feel for what their, blitz flavor of the days might be and kind of how they're trying to play us.
All right, so there you go. Obviously, we kind of talked about that earlier in the week, Jacob, where when you've got a new defensive coordinator and even on offense, when we looked at it from Jeff Hafley's perspective and the fact that they've got a new offensive coordinator and you don't know exactly what they're going to run there. Jordan was talking about they went back and watched some of the Miami Dolphins tape because Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator in Miami last year. Now he's with Philly. So you kind of get a little blend of that. You try to learn their personnel. You also pointed out we don't even know who their DBs are going to be because they've got a couple of rookies, if I remember correctly, that when we pulled up the preview, they didn't even have scores because they obviously haven't played a snap in the NFL. You don't know how they're going to adjust, how they're going to play. Quinyon Mitchell, I believe, if I remember correctly, is a rookie that they picked up. That was my best corner in the draft.
Did they get Quinyon and Coop?
Yeah, but Cooper DeJean's not healthy, though.
He's hurt. Yeah, but I'm just, like you said, there's still a lot of stuff up in the air in that secondary.
Yeah, I had Quinyon Mitchell as the top corner in the draft on my board, and he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He was the 9th overall prospect. So this dude should be a day 1 starter. We talked about him. He played at a smaller school in Toledo, but, man, he absolutely dominated the Senior Bowl and all that. I think he's a solid player. But when you scheme up a good game plan, it doesn't matter how good the player is. As long as you read the defense properly, there's a hole in every defense, right? People were going, there were multiple holes in Joe Barry's defense. I understand, but there's always going to be a weak spot. And like he was saying, it's just go out there, trust the game plan, because what Matt has done is like what Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay have done. I'm gonna do this visualization one day because I know exactly what they're talking about. I've heard that explained before. But if you go listen to the Play Callers podcast again, it talks. Jordan Rodriguez talks about and describes Kyle Shanahan on a board with multiple colors on this glass board, right? And what he did was drew up like cover 3 defense, and you could see where the holes were. So he would do like a cover 3 and a red pin.
Oh yeah.
And then he would go, okay, how do we attack that with a cover 3? Here's the passing concept that attacks that, all right? And then he'd take a blue pin and go, okay, if they're in cover 2, he would draw that up, right? Where are the holes there? Okay, it's right there. Bang. So now you know where the hole is in conjunction with both of those defenses. So now you try to draw up a passing concept that's going to maximize the opportunity to hit that window and walk people out of certain zones when you may be facing two different coverages. And that's where it comes down to, as long as you understand the rules of what you're reading as a quarterback, there will always be someone open. If the protection holds up, if you read the defense right, and if you deliver a good ball, all those things got to go right. But that's why Sean McVay in the Play Callers podcast, it talks about the success he had with Jared Goff when they went to the Super Bowl. They were doing a hurry up, almost like a turbo offense, like they did down in Atlanta with Kyle Shanahan and Atlanta with Matt Ryan. And the reason he was doing it in LA, and I believe Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator at the time. What they would do is hurry to the line of scrimmage because you still had comms on down to 15 seconds left on the play clock. And literally, Jared Goff would come to the line, and Sean McVay would read the defense and tell them where to throw the ball. Like that's how
crazy.
Good they were at doing it. So it's just absolutely wild. I'm sure he was coming in going, okay, they're showing an over front. Watch the Sam backer. He may be blitzing, probably a cover 3 look. If not, if it's cover 1, you're going to this choice route on the backside.
Now that you mentioned that, it's funny because I remember watching clips of Matt Stafford, which, they traded that whole thing because he thought Stafford was a better caliber quarterback to actually get him to the big dance and win it. And there was multiple clips of McVay just going off and Stafford's going, he's just still talking. Like, I don't even like he already, I don't know if it's that he already decided what play he's going to run because he's just more well equipped, or that he already got it. And but McVay, he's like, he won't shut up. Like, he's still going.
Yeah.
Like,
he's still talking. He probably talked well beyond the microphone cutting off. Ryan Wood tweeted this out earlier on the practice field. By the way, man, Lambeau in the backdrop, beautiful, partly cloudy skies, man. It
was 70 degrees and sunny, partly cloudy today. It was perfect.
It's perfect. He says, Jordan Love to Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love to Jaden Reed, boxing gloves trying to punch out the football here on this drill. We haven't talked about Jaden Reed much, Jacob. I think he's going to pick up right where he left off last year, dude. That guy came out as a rookie and was just an absolute baller. You got Christian Watson fully healthy. I think it's safe to say through camp, check it off the box, right? Check the box off the list. That hammy's holding up. So whatever they did in the offseason, they said they had it fixed. There's no reason to not believe them right now, man. What do you think about getting all those receivers on the field at once, though?
Ooh, man, it's an exciting prospect. That's for sure, because I don't know for sure. Maybe Chad can help me out. I don't remember Christian Watson having a fully healthy season completely. And to my knowledge, other than that one time where he had that across the field kind of hard hit, but I didn't even think he just maybe came out for the end of that kind of thing. And I believe he was practicing the next day. So that to me is, like you said, super intriguing. They literally went in there to that specialist there, I believe it was in Madison, and figured out, like, this is your problem, dude. Your leg's bigger than the other one. Like, it's about as sometimes it sounds so scientific, and then other times it's like, your leg's bigger, dude. And you're like, oh yeah, I should have known that. Yes. But with the Jaden Reed thing, he's been quiet, and I think lately Dobbs has been quiet. Maybe it's just because we're not seeing those scrimmages and the passes, and I live on a day-to-day basis for Packers, so I say they've been quiet. It's been a week, but I really do think that people are sleeping on the absolute freaks we have at this position, and we've went over it over and over again in the offseason. People are like, well, the Packers don't have a number one. Yes, we do. We have 4 of them. Like, you just don't know where they're lining up on any given play. So good luck with that, Philly.
Chewy in the chat said if there is any team that has as many exciting receivers as we do, it's Philly. Amen.
That's a good point too, though. I'd say their 3 are great. After that, they fall off a bit, but yeah.
And I'm of the opinion, I feel like we've got a roster full of number 2 receivers, and that's more than adequate enough to just play within a scheme, especially a Matt LaFleur type passing scheme, where you're going to be able to get open, you're going to be able to make plays. We do. I think we have 4 legitimate number 2 wide receivers and 2 legitimate number 3 wide receivers. And
yeah, that's fair.
Those 4 guys could step out and be a 1 in a second. When I say 1, I'm not talking about, all right, we got to force him the ball. When I talk about a true number 1, to me, everybody's got different definitions of what a number 1 wide receiver is. To me, a number 1 wide receiver, a true number 1 wide receiver, he will dictate coverage. He will force them to play bracket coverage. He'll basically help you win the hat count battle in the passing game because he's drawing 2 people to him at once. We don't have that yet. They're not
Do you-
doing that with Christian Watson. There's some people that believe he has. Not the case. Now, DBs will play a little more conservative with Christian Watson after that coming out party against Dallas at Lambeau back in 2022. They definitely they'll give him that deep curl route, that deep sit route that you see they run at like 12 yards out of a play action. But go ahead, Jay. What were you gonna say, man?
Honestly, I just lost my train of thought there, but
My bad.
I guess what the heck was I gonna ask you? Go ahead with something. I'll figure it out in a second here.
All right. Good deal. So obviously that was them just kind of talking up the wide receivers there. We had Tucker Kraft, another guy that I'm really excited about to see what he does with this year's campaign. Tucker Kraft, man, I've been very vocal, and I hope Luke Musgrave proves me wrong, because if he does, it means this Packers offense is absolutely humming. But I think Tucker Kraft is the best tight end on this roster as it sits right now, as that true Y. And he can also play you. He's just that traditional tight end. I see Musgrave as more of that flex guy, more of that hybrid role, that weapon that you can flex out and take advantage of personnel mismatches. But here was Tucker Kraft at his locker earlier today.
Here, just that alone, what is your excitement level on that?
Yeah, just the hurdles I had to jump over to be ready to play in this game back in May, tearing my pec, rebuilding it, getting back to this point, feeling as confident as I have ever been in my body, especially in the run game, feeling really strong, feel really in tune with the offense going into this game, into the season in general, but one play at a time. Like, I want to dominate. It's my one word, just dominate.
Is that the carrot that's been out there the whole time, this start of this season, and that the motivator for you?
Yeah. I just I think you just break things down, make them as simple as they are. You know, this play I have X responsibility. Just adhering to your technique, and like I said, just trying to dominate the man across from you, whether it's releasing on a route or fitting a guy up in the run game.
How enthusiastic are you about this offense in general? A lot of guys who obviously have had success and seemingly would come up a springboard from the tail end of last season.
Yeah, I'm still riding that high. No, we might have lost our last game last year, but the weekly improvements I felt amongst the guys during the season, week to week, it just got me excited for what's to come. And going here now, getting like a quarter of the training camp with the fellas compared to, everybody else grinding it out every day. I feel like I was still able to find some of that groove that everyone else might have been in. So we're all along for the ride now. We're ready to ball.
Jacob, you have the floor, man. That dude fires me up.
Again, yeah, he might be my new favorite Packer, and I hope that he'll be a great to move forward. There was something different about him when I watched his tape. When I just got excited about him, I obviously was drawn towards the RAS. I saw that, and just his demeanor. When I looked into his backstory about how basic, wasn't he the one, or was it? I can't remember if it was Tanner that was offered to be like, yo, we'll bring you to Alabama. Like, you can go to Alabama if you'd like to transfer. And I'm pretty sure that he wanted to stay in, was it South Dakota? It was either him or Musgrave, but you guys in the chat, I'm sure know better than I do. I just think that he's going to be our better tight end, if not our best tight end we've had recent history. And if not, I don't have enough brains to say that he's not going to be the best in our Packers history. I really do have that much confidence in him. I think that he is smart. He's physical. He's well-grounded. He is, Dave says that was Kraft. He was offered multiple high-end schools, and he wanted to stay in town because I believe his father played at that school, or his father was there was something there where he was like, just, I'm doing what I'm doing. And he trusted the process and ended up being a very high draft pick. And now we're going to see what's going to happen with him when he gets into this league and actually starts letting, year one's always going to be tough. They say, do you argue, Clayton, that tight end on the offense is probably one of the hardest positions to learn, because you have to know basically the whole playbook? Like, you got to know every little intricacy there. And
you do, man. You with we talked about what a true Y was, and I'd text you guys that because I was taking notes, reading up on the position a little while back, being the damn nerd that I am. And if I can find it now, I'm going to see if I can in our chat without too much dead air here. But a true Y, and it talked about the responsibilities that they have. To have someone in there, a true Y, you've got to be able to do these things. It's probably pretty far back in our chat.
Just give me 1 second here. Chill Turtle says Kraft has got that dog mentality. Just before that, Mr. Gut was saying that Kraft has some Gronk to him. I really, that's my whole opinion, where I feel like I'm not overselling him. I really do think that he is that guy. Once his body catches up, once his experience catches up, once he understands the game of football at the NFL level, I just feel like that he is that guy that's going to make a play, and he is going to be just an aggressive person in both the offensive game or the offensive passing game and the running game as well.
Yep. I've got it here. A true Y has to be able to run block a 9-tech, pass block a 7-tech, have great spatial awareness, and a total understanding of choice routes. He proved he can do all of that last year.
Yeah.
Notice I didn't say great hands, because you got to sacrifice something. It just so happens Tucker Kraft's got great hands.
He didn't drop a single ball, did he?
No.
That's crazy.
So, like, you throw in great hands there too. I mean, he does. He's got great spatial awareness. It was very rare that you've seen him get walloped because he wasn't aware of what was going on around it. Now, he did try to hurdle a couple people and take it on the dangles. We talked about that, right? The old Dankle got abused last year.
The old Nuggets.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, he's not a great blocker, but he proved he can be a good blocker. Now, maybe this year he takes that next step. By the end of the season, he had improved immensely in blocking, run blocking. So,
yeah,
I think we got to.
I think it's true that if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he played his best ball as the season progressed, which is what you want to see. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you see guys that are flashing the pans. We had a great game in week 3, week game in week 4, and then they fall off. Tucker Kraft got better and better and better as it aged. He's like a fine wine.
If you guys and gals would take a quick second, hit that like button for us. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on this glorious Sunday evening. It's officially September. Fall and football is going to be in the air here really, really soon. Just to give an update on the poll question we put out here in the YouTube comment section, which Packers player are you most excited to see make their debut with the team? It's neck and neck now. Josh Jacobs, 49%. Xavier McKinney, 41%. Jordan Morgan at 4%. And Javon Bullard at 6%. And we got 78 votes on that. Pretty good sample size. I love the fact that we can do those poll questions in here now. But here was Xavier McKinney in his locker. Obviously, he played with Saquon Barkley last year. He goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's see what Xavier McKinney had to say about it.
Yeah, we were. I actually was talking to him not too long ago. I just asked him how his camp was going, see how he was doing. Chatted a little bit. So, yeah.
What makes him so good?
He's just dynamic with the ball. He's pretty much all you want, a back to do. Obviously, you've seen him just over the years, the things that he's done, when he has the ball in his hands, and even when he's, running routes. I've seen him run routes in practice and even some games. So he just can do it all. He's a special back, one-on-one. So, yeah.
What are the
And the thing about Saquon, Jacob, he does the majority of his damage early in the year too, man, because obviously he has to battle injuries. That's been the only knock against his game, really, his entire career is injuries. So, yeah, Jacob had to step away there for a few minutes. We're ready to wrap this thing up anyway. I want to hit these Patreon questions real quick. Give a shout-out to our Patreon group. Appreciate y'all supporting the show. If you're interested in joining one of our 3 tiers of Patreon group, you can just scan that QR code in the upper right. That'll send you to Packer Fan Total Access live on Patreon, or you can go to patreon.com, search Packer Fan Total Access, and that'll send you there as well. And we also do giveaways with the 3 tiers and all that stuff throughout the year. So Jordan Taylor in the Patreon group said Sunday, all 53 players are practicing, including Marshawn Lloyd, Andre Dillard, etc. How do you see the running back distribution against this strong Eagles front, but a less talented secondary in linebacker group? All right. That question, let's handle it first. As far as the running back distribution, Emmanuel Wilson's weak spot is the passing game, unfortunately. His pass pro and his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and be dynamic in that regard. I'm not saying he's bad at it, but it's definitely not his strength. He's a better running back than a receiving back. So with that being said, I think the only way to answer that question, Jordan, is Josh Jacobs is going to have to carry the load in the passing game. It's that simple. Now, what I hate to see is you have to take Josh Jacobs off the field during obvious running downs because you've got to keep him somewhat fresh for the passing game. That would absolutely suck, right? So, but yeah, to answer your question, I think the running back distribution will be you're going to have to take into consideration that Josh Jacobs is going to be your strong point in the passing game and not try to put Emmanuel Wilson in a bad spot to do something that he's not necessarily good at doing, and that's being a receiving back. So hopefully that answers your question there. Dontayvion Wicks missed a lot of training camp as a rookie, but had a huge impact almost immediately. Which rookies that have missed a lot of camp could see a similar outcome? Read it again. Dontayvion Wicks missed a lot of training camp as a rookie, but had a huge impact almost immediately. Which rookies missed a lot of camp? We can see a similar outcome. When it comes to mind for me, is Jordan Morgan.
Yeah.
He pretty much missed most of camp. And here's the thing. It's not that I've seen anything to go, yeah, Jordan Morgan's the man, right? That's not the case at all. The coaches and the fact that they tried to force him into that right guard spot tells me they seen something early on, probably as early as rookie orientation. And when the rookies and quarterbacks reported before the rest of the team, they seen something early on that said, we got to get this guy on the field. Forget that he's been a left tackle his entire life. We've got to get him on the field. So that would be the rookie that I would say that's missed a lot of camp that I could see a similar outcome to Dontayvion Wicks and actually having an immediate impact would definitely be Jordan Morgan. Jacob, you got anything you want to add to that question there, man?
Yeah, 100% mine be Edgerrin Cooper for sure.
Ooh, I like it.
We haven't gotten to see what I would hoped. The flashes that I saw, his physical ability was what I expected. Just trying to get him mentally prepared to accept, what he has to do in that position, I think is the biggest step, the biggest hurdle he's going to take. I freaking love the dude. Every time I watch his interviews, I just think he's just a wonderful, like, happy soul. He's always smiling. He's talking about his dogs. He's talking about hunting. He's doing all this kind of stuff. He just seems, again, like such a great Packer. I feel like if he, again, God forbidding an injury or anything like that, if he were to be flushed into that starting rotation, I think that he would surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Dave Colvin with a question here from our Patreon group said, after today's episode, how many compensatory picks are we looking at possibly getting next year? Round and actual picks won't be determined until after the season. So the only way I know to answer that question, Dave, I do know I'm almost positive there's a rule in place that you can have no more than 4. Hopefully that helps. But, yeah, the compensatory picks, man, it's an argument every year. Every year there's an argument.
What do you think about this, Clay? Prince says that comp picks 0 to possibly a 7 because of the fact that we did receive Jacobs and McKinney contracts offset our losses. I don't know. You're more of a numbers guy. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Basically, and this is the way I understand it. And listen, I'm no expert, nor do I play one on TV here when it comes to comp picks. But with the comp picks, they try to take into consideration, and they've got a group evidently that determines, all right, of the players you lost in free agency compared to the players that you gained in free agency. Would you say the team that you came out better after free agency or worse? If it's worse, they try to provide you with comp picks to try to even that out. That's the way it's been explained to me. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. The only thing I do know for sure is I'm almost positive. I shouldn't say for sure. I'm almost positive you can have no more than 4 picks. So, yeah.
That's the way I understand it as well.
Yeah. And Dave MX6 says, perfect end to my birthday talking Packers on PTA with y'all cats. Happy birthday, Dave. Look at Jacob and Dave celebrating birthdays close together here. That's pretty cool, man. So,
yeah, boy.
Again, shout out to the Patreon group. Appreciate y'all providing those questions. Again, we got multiple chats set up there for people that are supporting the channel over on Patreon like this. We got a questions section where if you got a question for the show, you guys get top priority for supporting the show. Obviously, it's kind of the equivalent to super chats because we never know when the YouTube monetization will go down with this group that we've got in here. So if you guys are interested, like I said, just scan the QR code. That'll send you over to our Patreon group. But we still try to hit on regular chats too. We appreciate y'all just as much as anyone else, but I know there was many people reaching out going, how can we support the show? How can we support the show? That's how we do it. And then obviously, if you're one of 3 tiers, we will throw you into giveaways too, just to give back to those who are giving to us. We appreciate y'all for that. I'm going to check Twitter real quick.
Could I propose a segment quick?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I know I said that I had to run, but I just went and did some real quick business I had to get done. So I'm willing to go a little bit longer if you guys are. I know Carly sent us a snapshot that you were talking about in the Twitter DMs. I don't know if you want to highlight that. And I'm going to kind of hold the chat hostage. Guys, we got 51 likes. If we can get up to 70 likes, we're going to extend it 20 minutes. All right?
Yeah.
And that's not all. Yeah, it is.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Set it and forget it.
I downloaded that picture just now. And for whatever
Want me to hit
reason,
some chats for a minute while you try to figure that out?
Yeah, I'm just going to screen grab it. You go right ahead, man.
Sure. Mr. Weed in the chat says maybe LaFleur would go with a full Wildcat. This is when we were talking about what would happen if he, God forbid, went put into the game. That's intriguing. Did he run that at Liberty? I'm asking. I don't know that for sure. So chat, hit me up on that as well. Afam, of course, Afam says my mouth was watering seeing DeVito's mom handing out chicken cutlets. I'm just glad that handing out chicken cutlets followed that original part of that.
Yes, sir. I completely.
And Prince says the kind of situation where Cooper's speed would really come in handy. Without him and Quay would possibly be the QB spy. That's talking about how we would handle rushing and scrambling quarterbacks. And this is a good point that I think maybe we didn't talk about enough with the Ari Iron Miner is that we will be running the ball for sure if we get into that situation. I think that's true in a way, but if there is a situation where in these next couple practices / weeks where they see enough out of Malik Willis, and let's not forget, guys, he had arguably one of the better preseasons of any quarterbacks that had the amount of snaps he did have. So there is, I'm not going to totally throw my whole weight into his boat and say that I'm on this dude's team right now, or that I'm on this guy's, I guess, plan of that he'll be an actual successful quarterback or even a backup quarterback in this league. But I do think that he has all the tools and everything that should be going for him. You got that, Clay, or you want me to keep going?
Yeah, no, I got it, bro. We're good to go.
Throw it.
I'll go ahead and pull it up here. You explained to them. You're more familiar with this than me. This is a screen grab Carly sent over from the draft. So what are we looking at here? Is that the picks down there? 1, 1, 1, 2, all that across the board? Jake?
Yep. So 1-1 means round 1, pick 1.
Try to give the users a shout out if you can read it there. And I know you can't see the entire name, but
yeah, let's do this. All right. So, guys, we are doing a 12 round. This is actually, hey, Pack Daddy's in there. How about that? I love that. He always said that he would never do it. I could not get this guy to do a fantasy football league for like 3 years, 4 years that I worked for him.
He said Carly jump in there and make some money.
Carly throws one up, and all of a sudden he's right in the game. I tell you what. So basically what this is, guys, is a 12-round draft. And usually you're going to try, this is a PPR round, which I believe means points per reception. And it also is a super flex league. If she didn't change it, it means you get 2 quarterbacks, which that's very unusual. And I don't know if she switched it, but at the time they also did defensive players. So that all being said, usually you have a absolute ADP, which is an average draft position, similar to what you do in a college football draft. But when you're doing fantasy football, there's different tendencies or stat projections that are definitely going to dictate where you draft a player. So it's not whether or not you're going to win or lose a game. It's how many points or yards or all that kind of stuff that a guy can accrue. This is pretty, it's a little interesting because you got Christian McCaffrey first, CeeDee Lamb second in a super flex league. That's usually you get a run on quarterbacks right away. As you'll see right after that, you got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jamar Chase, Jalen Hurts, and so on and so on. Although Jordan Love gets picked with the 7th pick overall, which definitely would only happen in a super flex league. Usually he's going around quite considerably later, like 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds. As far as who is in here in the league, Big Jake, Trevor from Virginia, CJN, we know who that is. Hunka Burn and Love, pretty sure I know who that is. Chris Enns, I know who that is. Dane's Dazzling Team, I believe I don't know who that is. And that's all I can see on this screen grab right now. Mm-hmm. But if you guys ever are interested in doing, you can do daily fantasy, you can do weekly fantasy. It's really fun. It does make watching, especially obscure games, like games that we just talked about at the beginning where it's like, I don't give a crap about the Falcons versus Steelers. But if you put even so, a few dollars here and there, if you were to do a sort of parlay, or even with Prize Picks, if you're not in a sort of state that allows actual putting bets down, you can still make an insane amount of money off of just being either super lucky or being super smart. So I implore all of you to take a peek at fantasy football. It is literally, it makes me and my buddies timeline, like that's just, it's so fun. Anytime that like we're, I having a bad day or whatever, we'll just randomly shoot a text in the chat, and all of a sudden you're just engaged and you start talking stuff. And especially if you have a group of people that you're friends with, that is the best time of your life. It might be the worst if you're in the worst part of the league. And I will say this, and I'll shoot it back to you, Clayton. I'll shut up. The best part about being in a fantasy football league, in my opinion, has been what has been called I don't know how to basically the caboose, or the end of the league, or if you're the worst person that finishes, you usually have to do some sort of bet or embarrassing situation because of the fact that you placed last in the league. So I will admit that I lost a fantasy football league in 2018, and me and the other last place winner, one of my best friends and my roommates named Moonshine, were sentenced to stand on the corner of Broadway, right by the Bridgestone Arena, with a tutu and a large sign that said, "I suck at fantasy football." So I have cross-dressed in my life once, for all of you.
Absolutely awesome, man. Let's see here. Nate Dogg says, "Do you have to be in a league, or can you just go on FanDuel and play?" You can. There's like DraftKings has basically you can pick fantasy players on DraftKings per game. Like, it's just players in that specific game. It's a lot of fun, man.
They all do it now. DraftKings, Underdog, Prize Picks. There's literally about 10 or 12 that are very reputable that I would totally get into. It's fun.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite website, Jacob?
Right now it's Underdog, just because they allow you to do best balls starting in right after the draft starts. So in late April and early May, me and my buddy Tony and Paul, who we used to do the fantasy, the Packernet Fantasy podcast, we'd be in there. I don't even want to admit how much money I've spent on best ball drafts. And that's my favorite. So anybody that doesn't know fantasy football, best ball means you draft a large team, and you say you get 20 players. Out of that, you'll have a starting lineup from maybe like 8 to 11, depending on your league. And just the highest score of your team is going to be your high score. And then you go on, and it's really fun. Like Clayton said, there's daily fantasy, there's best ball, there's hero leagues, there's dynasty leagues, there's elite leagues. It is just almost a little bit too much to handle. And this is not something new, guys. This has been around, I believe I highlighted it, since like the late 70s. And it was where people were scoring through like newspapers. And then once it progressed into the modern days, then it became way more prevalent. But I'm excited, man. You can tell probably by how jacked.
He says Jacob's off the chains tonight. Tutus, playing best balls, the whole 9 yards.
Hey, man.
So just a quick recap of that first round. And Carly, thank you so much for sending this over. And I'm going to try to – I can't see the full name of the Patreon members who are participating in this fantasy draft here. And we're going to give you guys updates throughout the season. I know there's a lot of people hearing this right now go, I hate fantasy football. I understand. I'm not a big fantasy football guy either. But we're just going to step in from time to time, cover a couple minutes. Here's who's leading in the standings, and include that into the show. I think is really cool. But with the first pick, it says Danes, and the name cuts off. He took Christian McCaffrey. Second overall pick, it was Chris Inns, took CeeDee Lamb. Third pick was Hunka, took Josh Allen, quarterback. CJN took Patrick Mahomes at number 4. Trevor took Jamar Chase at number 5. Big Jake took Jalen Hurts with the 6th pick. K Rizzo, I'm pretty sure that was Carly Ray, took Lamar Jackson with the 7th overall pick. Mox MA took Jordan Love with the 8th pick. Lazy Pyro took Bijan Robinson with the number 9 pick. Pack and took Breece Hall with the 10th pick. Pack Daddy took I wonder if that is Ryan. I don't know if it is or not. I'm going to check and see. He took Amon-Ra St. Brown with the 11th pick. I'm pretty sure this says immunization probably is the name, but took Tyreek Hill with the number 12 pick. United Bates took C.J. Stroud with the 13th pick, and Dave C. took Justin Jefferson with the 14th pick. So like I said, just want to give you guys a live look in there. Appreciate Carly for sharing that and sending it over. Last thing we're going to hit on here, Jacob, from here on out the rest of the week, we're going to be just absolutely diving into Packers versus Eagles, all the different matchups, all that good stuff. So this came across the wire on Packers.com from their dope sheet. If you guys don't know what the dope sheet is, it's a tradition that the Packers have done, I think, since Curly Lambeau's time, I believe, where they'll just do kind of a preview of the season, but they also have a preview every week. They'll have the weekly dope sheet, okay? So Packers at Eagles, the all-time regular season record against them, the Packers are 27-16. All-time postseason, they're 1-2. All-time at Philadelphia in the regular season, they're 9-10. But keep in mind, this has got to kind of gets thrown out the window because it's at a neutral site in Brazil. Streaks, the Packers have 3 of the last 5 regular season meetings and scored 27-plus points in all 5. All right. Last meeting, regular season, November 27th, 2022, was at Lincoln Financial Field. The Eagles won 40-33. Now, the coaching.
But did they win right there, Clayton? Just sorry to interject. That was the game, if I'm not mistaken, that Jordan Love came in at garbage time, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" I think I remember Chris Collinsworth even saying, "Whoa!
Oh yeah,
who's Jordan Love? And who's that
good.
Christian Watson coming around the
Here's
corner?"
the guy.
Hey. So
Yeah.
that was a catalyst as to what became of Jordan Love.
It's a good point, man. Coaches capsules, Matt LaFleur is 56-27 with a win percentage of .675. He's 3-4 in the postseason. It's his 6th NFL season. Nick Sirianni is 34-17 with a .667 winning percentage. So Matt LaFleur significantly higher than Nick Sirianni in winning percentage. He's 2-3 in the postseason, very similar to Matt LaFleur, and it's only his 4th NFL season as head coach. Head-to-head, Matt LaFleur is 0-1 versus Sirianni, obviously losing that only matchup they've had. And then versus the opponent, LaFleur is 1-2 versus the Eagles, as Sirianni is 1-0 versus the Packers. So just wanted to kind of touch on that real quick, give you guys kind of that dope sheet look there. Sirianni's a pretty damn good coach, Jacob. But Matt LaFleur, man, I tell you, if he keeps winning if he wins another 10, 11 games this year, people are going to have to put some respect on his name, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable if they haven't yet. It's just weird. So Turtles makes a great point here. He goes, that year, that was against a Super Bowl winning Eagles defense. Or I shouldn't say winning, but at least a Super Bowl caliber defense. And then United Bates is the same thing. Rodgers left that game in the third quarter. Definitely saw what we could have out of the possibility of Jordan Love going forward. So it was, and Nate Dogg, and still no coach of the year. It is crazy that when the guy went, 13 wins in his first, is it 3?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me, man.
Yeah.
So
Watch, if Rodgers does well this year, if they give Salah the coach of the year, I swear.
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
I'm going to poop.
That's how I'm going to feel about it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there you go. There was the, like I said, the quick little, what do you want to call it? Dope sheet, Packers at Eagles update there. So I'm excited to see what they do, man, for sure, as far as this matchup against Philly at the neutral site down there in Brazil. And again, it's full go. I know many people were thinking they might not go. It sounds like all signs are a go. They're flying out Wednesday, ready to roll. I want to hit this real quick before we wrap up too, Jacob. This is really cool. I'm so excited. I nerd out over this stuff. And listen, I know by listening to Packernet After Dark, I think I'm the only Packer fan that gets excited about this stuff. Everybody else is like, they could care less. They just want to watch the game. But Ari Mirov had tweeted this out a couple of days ago. He said, "This will be awesome." ESPN announced that Bill Belichick will be a featured guest on the Manning Cast every week this season during the first half. But wait, there's more. All right. So think about this. Monday Night Football every week, Belichick is going to jump on in the first half. He's probably going to tell you the keys to beating each team and how he would game plan against them, which is just absolutely awesome insight. He says there's more. Throughout the season, Peyton and Bill will host a 30-minute show every Friday previewing that week's Monday Night Football game. The show will include a film room and schematic breakdown, focusing on team and player tendencies, as well as the game plan approach for both teams. So every Friday, they're going to show you, here's how we would prep and plan for these two teams on Monday Night Football. And then in the first half, he's going to jump in there. They're going to talk about what they've seen in the first half. I'm absolutely fired up over this.
Respect orders, first of all. Of course, I always bring it to somewhere funny. If Bill Belichick could quote in that picture, I don't want to hug you, Peyton. I got to go see a girl.
Heard it from a fan right here.
I love the idea of this. I am a little bit hesitant because it's like, okay, well, you're telling me both teams on Friday night, they're going to be like, all right,
taking notes.
all right. And like, what kind of actual collusion does this invite? Because like, is Bill Belichick or Peyton technically involved in the NFL still legally? You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
Are they out there? Okay, so I'm just wondering, like, here's what I do. To like either the Colts or the Broncos, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, well,
it's hilarious. This picture, I see what you're saying, man. Bill is like leaning away.
He's being like, get a Tic Tac, dude.
Peyton's like, Coach, I just want you to know I'm a big fan, and Bill Belichick's like,
I suffered the pressure.
Yeah, I just want to get to the locker room, Peyton. Get away from me, man.
Yeah.
So no, that's going to be absolutely awesome, man. I'm shut up and take my money. I'm sure this is going to be on ESPN Plus, and I haven't subscribed to it yet. This will be the tipping point. So there you go. That's going to be a done deal if that's where you gotta see that on, or as Dak Prescott would say.
Here we go.
Oh, don't do that.
All right, don't do that. All right, Jacob, anything else you want to hit on, man? We pretty much covered everything I had on the list here, dude.
Man, I think that's about it. Practice tomorrow or no?
Yeah,
Should
practice.
be, right?
Practice tomorrow and Tuesday. Then they fly out on Wednesday.
Are you at all worried about the fact that we've unfortunately, so they're flying out Wednesday, which means they get a day to get acclimated to everything they're going on there, and then they got to play that Thursday night. That sounds about it.
It is what it is, man.
So there's a possibility they won't even be there a full 24 hours. That makes me nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
This with what's going on down there. I can't imagine they were like, let's get down there a week early. They're probably going, let's get in and get out. You know what I'm saying? That's probably what's going to happen there. Here we got an update on the poll question tonight on YouTube. Which Packers player are you most excited to see make their debut with the team? Really close race down to the wire here. Josh Jacobs, 45%. Xavier McKinney, 43%. Javon Bullard, 9%. Jordan Morgan, 4%. So Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney running away with it here. Let Javon Bullard go out there and get a couple interceptions in week one and watch that poll question change. But 94 votes. Appreciate everybody contributing there. Thank y'all so much for giving your take on it. So
yeah, you're right. In my brain, I thought we were playing Thursday. Shut up.
No, hey, I get it.
And look who joined at the last very second. Look at his
profile.
What are you doing?
Eric Sutherland, shout out. Say good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. It sounds like he might have spent like 3 nights in jail and came out on, like, okay, I'm going to straighten my life up. Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well.
All right.
So
one last thing before we get out of here, because we only have 2-3 minutes until we actually hit that 120 mark. So Jeff started it off. Give us your Packers projections. I think that's a great way to maybe end this thing going right here. Do you have one personally, Clayton, while the chat starts falling in? Because I haven't even thought about it, to be honest, which is crazy. I would honestly say 24-17, something like that sounds possible.
Yeah, that's tough. I hate doing this type of thing. I hate predicting and all that. But the spread, some people's got it at 3 points. Other people's got it at 2.5. I mean, listen, Vegas, they know what the hell they're doing. Going to be a neutral site, right? Packers are catching some points, even though they were the away team, so that's probably more of a push than anything. So I think it's going to be a close game. Early in the season, typically the offenses struggle early in the season. At least that's the way I remember the NFL in the past. So I'm going to say maybe a little lower scoring, like maybe a 21-17 top score.
Ooh.
And I got to be real, man. I think that LaFleur does a really good job game planning against opponents. Well, you can't really do that against this Eagles team. Okay, so that's gonna cause some issues. But
you say he can't do it. Is that because there's so many unknowns?
Yes, correct. Like if this was week 5, I would feel a lot better about the Packers versus the Eagles. Right. Now, the fact, like I said, I know I've said it 1,000 times, but it's so important. And you're going to hear me say it until kickoff. Neutral site is absolutely huge for the Packers. If this was in Philly, I would probably lean toward Philly by 3 or 4 points. But the fact that it's a neutral site, I'm going to go Packers by less than a touchdown. I'll just leave it at that. And I don't think it's going to get out. Maybe it'd be something like 24-20, 24-17, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so we're in the. I said 24-17, so we're in the same ballpark. CJN right there as well. 24-21. Spectre Oranges, same thing. 27-24. Narv proves he's the one. I would jump through my third-story window.
Easy, Jacob.
So
we just got monetized, Jacob.
So Turtle says 31-17. Jay says 27-14. These are all basically kind of ballparkish. Weed says it's could be a weird week. I don't know, but he says he likes Green Bay's chances. Mr. Prince says 34-30. That's another. Yeah. Weed goes in to say 31 Philly 16, and Bates really going to try to make us all have a heart attack. Says 27-24 Packers win.
That'd be a blast.
Eric goes 27-13. And at some point, I'm going to have to cut you guys off. I'm sorry. But 34-24, Pack says Ronald. We got Ron Sandville coming in with 34-17 as well. J. Cole, 27-26. What are you doing, Jay? Don't put that out there. You don't put that on me, Ricky.
My favorite is Ron Sandville. I hope he gets it right. 34-17. Fourth quarter, just sitting back with a daddy soda, getting ready for the post-game show. That's
absolutely.
What I was so.
Oh, boy.
All right. Guys, we're out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We hit it right on the dot there. Jacob, thank you for joining, man. I'm glad you jumped in here. I thought I was flying solo, but thank you so much, pal. I appreciate it. So we will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time, to talk about everything that we may or may not have learned about practice on Monday afternoon. We'll try to get some more pressers, things like that. Keep you guys in the loop on some of the injury concerns. Obviously, the ones we want to keep our eye on, Marshawn Lloyd, Jordan Morgan, kind of get a little bit better feel for, are these guys going to be contributing? Is Jordan Morgan going to be playing, and how many snaps do we think Marshawn Lloyd may or may not have? And also Adrian Cooper's one we haven't talked about. There hasn't been a real distinctive update on him, Jacob. So hopefully we hear tomorrow that he's practicing. Again, I don't think he's going to be starting. It kind of feels like if he is healthy, he's a little bit behind schedule. But who knows, man? We may go out there and I'll be damned, there he is on the field, right? That would be awesome. But I think you're going to see a lot of Isaiah McDuffie in that nickel. But nonetheless, we got plenty of time to talk about it as we close in on game day here. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Hit that like button on your way out. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack Go.